So we're gonna learn a balance sweep. Of course, everybody knows how to make the sweep from uh, open guard, spider guard, close guard, lasso guard, and I will share with you guys my way to do balloon from here, from the lasso. So I believe, of course, there are a couple of details, but I believe work with the foot on the hip is the main detail you should take care, because you can control the distance, and also you are already preparing your body to lift your opponent over your own body, and then sweep him over your shoulders, you know. So we're gonna respect the same idea about always when we are throwing our opponent over our head, is choosing a side, never like over the whole body. We like always bring him a little on diagonal from the side we have the lasso, and using distance, use distance and frames. So we're here, lasso, pow. We're gonna do deep lasso at that time. We're gonna like involve my opponent's back, like rib and back, and this foot. As I'm looking for a balance sweep, I cannot place. I cannot place this foot on the shoulder. I should keep my foot on the hip and find that angle, position myself sideways on the mat. So it's gonna be very hard if you try skirt your hip inward towards your opponent if you don't have those connections. Your lasso on the back and your foot on the hip, and your hand on the collar will support you since the beginning as a frame, you know, to protect you, your guard. If your opponent try to go around, you have your hand working like since the beginning, and also this hand will help you to pull yourself to get skirt your hip in between your opponent's leg. Second thing, my foot on the back is pretty important because I will step on my opponent and then get the mobility I need to position myself in between my opponent's leg. If I just hold the lasso and I try wide open my knees, cutting my body, it's gonna be tough. I cannot gain any, I cannot close any space between us while we are here. So this foot, my idea is gonna be step on his back, my knee I will try bring towards my body, like not bring it towards, but like just make the intention, because he will posture up while I'm doing this. So he will carry my body. This foot on the hip will help me to skirt my body, so I will step on his hip, lifting my hip up, and then my hand on the collar will drag. It's not about drag my body, but I will be able to move my body like skirting inward and towards him. The movement is gonna be like this. I'm gonna lift my hip, move, and then get inside my opponent's leg. So the idea is we're gonna start. I will move myself to the side, step on the hip, holding the collar, holding the sleeve, elbow close the body. I'm gonna swing my leg over, pass inside the arm, involving stepping. This is literally stepping on the back. What I will do, I start to get an action and he gonna try posture up. So what I do, I move myself and I skirt in between his legs. As more I can skirt, better for me is gonna be. So this foot on the back doesn't work anymore if I want to roll over my shoulder doing a balloon. I should step on the hip, and then by holding him, I can start lift, bringing my knees towards my chest. As more I bring my knees, it's the same idea since the beginning. Head to head, hip to hip. Probably in most part of the case, my opponent tried to hold my collar like this. What are you gonna do? As he's not too far, I don't need to break his elbow, but I can slide my hand from the collar and grab his triceps like this. My next step will be keep bending my legs And then when I feel that he's over my feet, it's pretty easy. Lift and then roll over my right shoulder. After this, I'm since the beginning stepping on his hips. What I do, first leg to stretch will be the leg I have the lasso, and the second leg I will stretch is gonna be the opposite side. My hand comes to the mat. I posture up, and I have a perfect mount position. So to make, we can do it for this side. The main thing to make your scooting actions, right?
Scooting, yeah.
Scooting action. Scooting action is your feet is stepping on your opponent. You should be able to lift your body by stepping on your opponent, and then you can scooty your hip inward and towards him. If you try just to pull him over you, it's gonna be impossible because he's too far. That if he's far, for example, if he's far from my hip, just grab my feet. Yeah, my shin. Sorry. If he's grabbing my shin like this and he's far from me, so he can pretty easily bring my feet down. Can you? Because he's far. But if can you come towards me? If he is like close to me and he tries to put my feet down, it's gonna be hard. My hip is blocking the position because my knee is close to my chest. So as more I bring my knees towards my chest, can you try to put it down? Harder it will be. So I have a position that I'm strong. So for that reason, after we get the lasso, we should try close the distance as more as we can to make our opponent like pass guard over our hip and then roll the shoulder and finish or apply the balance sweep. So we are here, lasso. I move my hip to the side, I find angle. So always to get the lasso, the deep lasso guard, you should find angle to get single leg over. You step on the back like this is the area. It's not on the belt. It's not like on the armpit. You should pass your knee until you have the line that we talked before. I step on the back. I will create some action and reaction. I should put pressure over my opponent, and while I'm putting pressure, this foot I should step, trying wide opening my knees. So my knees do that. But as I have my hand on the collar and my foot on the hip, I can bring myself inward him. So we are here sideways. So I'm gonna put pressure. He's gonna push it up. I bring him up. What I do now is slide my second foot to the hip, my hand from the collar. I'm pulling him, but at some point it's gonna be tough. So he grabbed my collar. I slide and I grab his triceps. I wide open my elbows in that moment to slide more to inside his legs. I lift him and I do a balance sweep. First leg, I stretch and I touch the mat is my right knee. Second knee will be the opposite side. I post my hand on the mat, give him the support to come up, and then we have them all. So the same idea, work. We are working over the hip. I switch collar to triceps control, not elbow control in that time because his arm is not straight, so we don't need to wide open. His arm is already opened, so it's just about put more intention to open more and more, bringing his posture, and foot on the hip to use the leverage. I think, yeah, we'll talk about all the necessary details. And remember, sideways. You should position yourself sideways before you start to scutting your hip inward and towards your opponent. If you like try to start the position flat on the mat, it's gonna be impossible because you don't have It's not about friction, but you don't have like a solid contact with your opponent. You should position yourself, creating an angle that you are able to pull yourself in just one motion. Like if you stay like flat and try to scut your hip, is gonna be impossible because he will walk backwards. So it's gonna be a tough battle. You will not win probably. But if you position yourself sideways, so you can use the motion, the reaction that he has about posturing up to position yourself and start to like lift him and make the position more real. It's about like everything's about timing, but this one is about you get your hip deep, caving your opponent, and then lifting his butt up, right?